Welcome back, sports fans. We're back on the Fourth Quarter Finish podcast, and today I am joined by Coach Max McCombs. Caledonia, he's doing some training for Caledonia, and he's got just an incredible story that I'm super excited for you guys to hear. So I'm just going to let Max go ahead and take it away and kind of tell you a little bit about himself.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me on. Again, Max McCombs. I'm coaching D-line now at Caledonia on the varsity football team. I've been outside linebackers and a little JV defensive coordinator. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of D-line pass rush training lately, a lot with just some local West Michigan athletes. Really good time, good way to spend my time, maybe make a little extra money. But other than that, from Davison, Michigan, played 3 years of varsity there. From there, made my way to SVSU on a scholarship and then spent 5 more years there. Took a little time off football, got into coaching at Goodrich High School, and then made my way to Caledonia and been here for the last 3 years now. So it's been awesome.
And here we are, right? So, that's what everybody's kind of wondering, is you've got such a great amount of success so far. Obviously making it to Saginaw Valley State is no easy task. I mean, a lot of kids, I know of didn't make it D3. So,
Sure.
That's awesome and such a great accomplishment for you. And, we're going to get into everything. So I'm super excited. To start off, growing up, what did football look like to you and what kind of inspired you to go down this path of where you've come so far?
I think a lot of it was just starting with my family. We watched a lot of Michigan football, on an annual basis every Saturday at my grandma's house. So from there, just watching it, hearing my brother, my dad, my grandpa talk about it, just trying to understand the game, and then being an active kid, wanting to do stuff, just kind of got into throwing the football around in the backyard during halftime and after the game, so on and so forth. So just really kind of being naturally exposed to the game and taking an interest to it as a hyperactive kid, wanting to be involved in sports. I played numerous, but football was really the one. I think with kind of the size that I was, it made sense to me to play football. And again, wanting some physical contact, to be honest, it was a big part for me. I liked that part of it. I still do. I miss it. So just being lucky enough to be around it, and then having parents willing to let me play. It can be a dangerous sport. So when you're in 3rd grade asking to go play tackle football, not every parent says yes, but I was lucky enough and was allowed to. And from there, I just haven't been able to get enough of it.
And, that's something that, a lot of people, come on and talk about is just how much their family meant to their football careers, and I just hope a lot of people that hear your stories and other athletes realize, like, yeah, your family can be your biggest support sometimes. It gets you through a lot of hard times, and so that's great to hear. And I won't talk too much about you being a Michigan fan. That's all right. I'm Sparty. I'm little brother, so that's okay.
That's okay.
I know the vibes. We're a basketball school. It's fine.
That's what they say. That's what you guys like to say.
That's what we're gonna go with. For until further notice. So obviously, Michigan has had a great couple of years, so I can't really knock too much on them. So
yeah, well,
yeah,
ups and downs. State's had
yeah.
some amazing seasons too. So
true, yeah,
kind of the eves and flows of college football.
Sure is. That's right.
Yeah.
In talking about college football, so you played 3 years varsity for your high school, Davison, right? So. Yep. You led into playing for Saginaw Valley State. So take me through that time in your life, the high school to the college level. How did that all transpire?
Just kind of, playing football, being one of the more athletic kids, being tall for, my grade and having the opportunity really, as I did play JV as a freshman. So I had that opportunity to play up and gain that experience, and then had another opportunity to play varsity as a sophomore, won the spot at left tackle and never lost it, which is, I know you say what you want, but I'm pretty prideful of that. Took every snap at left tackle except for my senior year. I started having shoulder issues, so I'd have to take a rep or two off. But yeah, just having an opportunity and seizing it really. The coaches gave me an opportunity to earn a spot on varsity as an underclassman, and I seized it, and really proud of that. Still talk about my first start on varsity being at Rockford.
Oh, oh
So
yeah,
it was a pretty
Rockford.
amazing experience. We didn't come out with the win, but just that sort of fueling it,
Mhm.
played well my whole life, kind of just naturally getting an opportunity and not really backing down and just taking it for what it was, trying to have fun, play football, and it worked out for
Right.
me. So, and taking coaching, listening to what the coaches were telling me to do, that would help me be successful, whether it be in a drill or in a workout. So,
Mhm.
seizing my opportunity is where I'd say it started. And then just kind of wanting more, understanding that getting to the next level was very much earned. So, having to put tape together,
Yeah.
having to take time out of my weekend to go to a football camp when all my other friends are doing something else, trying to get exposure. Um, and then just, again, seizing the opportunity at camps to play well and get on the radar and have good film.
Mhm.
And then from there, your exposure kind of starts to go. And I wasn't overly recruited, but I had my opportunities because, again, I, took time and worked out and went to camps, played hard on my film, and got the opportunity.
So going into that, right? So the recruiting process, and now that you're in the shoes of a trainer and a coach, is there anything that you took away during your time as a player that you tell the younger generation now, like, hey, these are things that recruiters are kind of looking for. These are things you want to put on tape. Is there anything like that you could think of?
Um, just I guess in terms of like what are recruits looking for, you obviously have to have the film.
Mhm.
Um, Grades are going to be an aspect too, but to that point, you do have to be personable. You got to be able to talk to the recruits and try to sell yourself a little bit. It's not easy as a young athlete to do that.
Mhm.
So just trying to be your best self. Obviously you need to get recommendations from your coaches. They're going to go there, so if you really want to get recruited, it's a 24/7, you know, deal. So you have to be on your best behavior in the schools because coaches aren't going to put their reputation on the line if you're not acting right, so it's just about sort of on top of having great work ethic,
Mhm.
being a good football player, it's important that you have great character.
that
You know
that
what I mean?
is that is a great point, and that is one I actually haven't heard anybody say yet. Is just it's not just about your athletic ability.
Right.
There's a lot of other things that go into a recruiting process, and so that's really refreshing to hear too. Like that's a side of things people don't really think about. So that's awesome insight.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. So again, Saginaw Valley State, that was a really cool experience for you, obviously. Is there anything that came from that helped you in your career so far? Maybe a coach or maybe some training that you did there. I saw that you played some D line, so I'm assuming you
Mhm.
learned some good things up there.
Yeah, no, I actually had a very good defensive line coach. He's an all-time great at SVSU. I think second in sacks there.
Wow.
Played in the CFL. Was got into college coaching and just I think really himself looked to find drills and find things to make us better. Obviously, he was a good player, but he had to make us better. And I think he did a great job of seeking out information and coaching us, which is something that I really took from him. Is just even though you're a coach, you're still a student of the game. So I remember him having a lot of different drills and a lot of different ideas about pass rushing that I just thought were really cool. Um, and on top of that, it's kind of a thing on social media right now. So honestly, over COVID, I was sort of exposed to it. A lot of downtime, I was on social media and I saw that there was I guess you could say, a market or an industry
Hmm.
for pass rush training. And from there, I just kind of coached some dudes from Goodrich and brought it over here. But yeah, no, I would say my coach.
Your
I had a
coach.
really good D line coach, and I'm forever grateful for the way he coached us and had a great amount of intensity, but also a lot of love for us. So he coached us up well.
Coach you up well. That's
Mm-hmm.
having that figure in the room is such a huge part. I hear a lot of players talk about it, and obviously I've heard about your training so far from Carlo and a couple
Mm-hmm.
of other players that you train, and they speak glowingly of your training. So
Oh, that's
it's
awesome.
awesome to hear, man. So
Mm-hmm.
speaking of that, coming from Davidson, coming from Saginaw Valley State, what and now in Goodrich, what led you to Caledonia, Michigan?
I needed a job. Um, I wanted, I was frustrated in East Michigan. I wasn't finding the job I wanted. I wasn't making it through the interviews, and and I say this to some coworkers now, and they sometimes give me gruff for it, but I was like, really, Caledonia was like an interview practice. I didn't think I was going to get the job. I had applied at Rockford, didn't even get an interview, and then I applied at Caledonia, got an online interview. The next day, I got a phone call to get to drive 2.5 hours or whatever the drive is from Davison, to do an in-person interview, and then did the interview. About a half hour into the drive back, I got a call that I got the job, and then about hour after that, I was on the phone with Coach Pennington talking about football and talking about coaching. So yeah, I needed a job. I wanted to teach and I wanted to coach, and I think that was the seller for me, is that I was willing to do both for Caledonia, and I'm really happy about how it all turned out on it. Obviously.
And let me tell you, we are happy to have you as well.
Well,
You've
thank you.
made a huge difference. Like I said, a lot of friends, I know of that speak really highly of your training, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds for Caledonia football. It's electric, man. So thank you for
Yeah.
coming here. And speaking on the idea of like the coaching and teaching, that's been kind of a Caledonia staple forever. Going back to my days of playing,
Mm-hmm.
Coach Pearl,
Oh yeah.
Coach DeHorn,
Oh
all
yeah.
of those guys were teachers that you'd see in the middle of the school day.
Oh yeah. Those
And
guys
most,
are awesome. I
yes.
I wish I would have maybe got to Caledonia sooner, so I could have coached with Coach Burrell. But it
Mm-hmm.
was awesome just being around him for a little bit. I didn't see him because I was in South Campus and he was in
Mm-hmm.
North. But yeah, I get to see Coach DeHorn all the time. I see him at
Yep.
Max Effort. And Coach Burrell is actually subbing now in the building.
Is he okay?
Yeah,
Awesome.
so
I'm
I
I'm
get to
glad to
see
see
him.
he's still there.
Yeah, he's yeah, a lot of coaches, a lot of teachers, and yeah, Caledonia did a good job doing that and
Mm-hmm.
trying to get back to it. We have a couple in the building, but it just comes with time. But my
If you ever,
favorite,
oh, go
my
ahead, go ahead.
favorite is Clunder. I work
Oh,
with Clunder. Clunder's probably my best work friend. So
good old Clunder.
I love Mr. Clunder. He's honestly a close friend at this point. But yeah, I love working at Caledonia. It's a great staff.
It really is. It's a family, man. It is just it's the best atmosphere. Like I said, I'm forever grateful that I got to grow up in such a school
Yeah,
district that it is. And
it is a great place.
if you get the chance, ask Mr. DeHorn about the baseball bat he has in his classroom. That was always kind of a fun thing. He would always, he has a baseball bat that he carries around just in case of anything. He's
Yeah, you
funny.
never know.
I love DeHorn, man. He was
Yeah,
so much fun. So
he's a great guy.
yeah, so moving on from that, obviously, that's a great story of you coming to Caledonia, and again, super grateful you're here and
Thank
teaching
you.
our younger athletes and even our current athletes how to be the best professionals they can be, in the classroom and off of it. So I mean, out of the classroom, I should say. But
Mhm.
so what have you seen since coming here, in terms of growth and program growth? Obviously Caledonia's had some high ranking recruits come through so far that I didn't see growing up. And
Mhm.
I just wanted to hear what an outsider take was, coming in here.
Well, I think what it came down to was um new opportunities at Caledonia that were presented with a new coach. And with that came some great athletes, but also a lot of experience from Coach Pennington. I would say as much as he knows the X's and O's, he knows how to run and set a program. He knows what kind of training to offer his players. He knows scheme, he
Mm-hmm.
understands what football players need in terms of off-season training, nutrition, things like that. And with that being said, he does his best job to allow our athletes an opportunity to do those things. Trying to get food for them during meetings or after practice film, getting them great trainers, Coach Pranger, Coach Chuma, a lot of high quality people, So with the athletes, I think there's a high level of football knowledge, both in the training aspect and in the X's and O's. Again, Coach P is a great football offensive mind, and Coach Whitney Bell is a very good defensive coordinator. So on top of having the good athletes, I think we've done a good job coaching football, obviously. And that's what it comes down to too,
Mm-hmm.
we brought athletes in the right way. We didn't break any rules. Students moved to Caledonia because they wanted to be here.
Yes.
And that's what it comes down to. And those guys are all still playing football,
Yep.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even the guys who are from Caledonia, even the Carlos, the Jackson Engelbergs, the Jet
Yep.
Kings, like,
Mm-hmm.
so it's about buy-in.
Mm-hmm.
These dudes bought in and are willing to bust their butts in the off season and never miss a workout.
and and
Um,
and
so
going
okay.
towards like what you're saying, that's been a reoccurring theme I wanted to bring up, that you were just saying, actually, is just how important it is for the off-season stuff.
Mhm.
Back in my day, we did, a little bit of off-season conditioning, but we had hell week, and that was
Sure.
always crazy. But
We had the same thing. Yeah.
yeah, it was always kind of crazy. But
Yeah.
what you guys are doing is different, with
Mhm.
max effort, and everybody involved there with Chuma, you said, and yourself. This is specialized stuff, which is so cool to see, because I think it's such a big part of what makes football great, is that specialized stuff, really honing your craft. There's a lot of specialty stuff that comes
Right.
with football, that
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen in Caledonia. So sorry, not to cut you off. I just had to bring that
You're
up.
good, man. I love it. Yeah, you're good.
Perfect. So the last thing I've got for right now before I break into kind of a fun segment here is, what inspired you to get into training? You talked a little bit about, during COVID, just seeing the videos online, but what was really that inspiration, that fire that brought you to it?
I think after, like I said, I spent a little time at Goodrich, and I think after seeing that my training could be applied to real football really helped me gravitate even more towards it and want to do it even more. I had some really good athletes at Goodrich who were willing to come spend some time and train with me and become better football players. And a couple of them went on to play at the next level. And one of them played in the state championship against Grand Rapids South Christian and was a huge part of that runner-up team a couple of years ago. So I think just being able to see that I could make a difference, and the things I were doing were helping football players get better on the field and helping them produce and get some exposure.
That is such a great part, because a lot of it is like what you said, is it's being a teacher, and it's also, it's motivation. A lot of these kids going to the next level, I'm sure you take pride in that, having, wow, I coached that kid. I coach
Right.
youth football right now, and coach to coach here, it's like, one day I really hope to see one of these kids, man, just hopefully one day I can say, yeah, I made a difference, how big or
Uh-huh.
how small.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's awesome
Yeah.
to feel that. So,
Mhm.
well, speaking of training, I've got kind of something a little fun to share with you here. So I thought you could maybe break this down for me, and we'll see kind of what's going on here. Uh,
Yeah.
Speaking of Carlo, I'm pretty sure that's Carlo right there. So,
Yeah. There's that stud.
that's
There he
that
is.
stud.
Yep.
So kind of break down a little bit what's going on here.
So
what is this drill?
So I'm talking to him about protecting himself. The offensive line wants to get into your body, so you don't want low hands when you are doing a double swipe, or some trainers call it the scissors. I call it double swipe. So I'm just talking to him about having a 90-degree angle, or 90-degree angle in your elbows, having your elbows up, protecting your chest, being ready to be reactive. So yeah, to start
Okay.
that drill, I'm just talking about protecting your chest and having
Gotcha.
active hands, moving your hands while approaching the offensive lineman so you can react to his movement. And
Gotcha.
now
Okay.
we're just we're working a torso, an upper body rotation. So
Okay.
as this drill goes on, we see them rapid fire doing double swipes. What we're really trying to do there is get his torso turned the opposite direction.
Okay.
So what that allows you to do, if there was a here we are here, just trying to get that torso turned, and then if you look closely there, Carlo had that inside toe pointed to the direction he was trying to go. Um,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
which is what we're trying to get to. We're trying to get our shoulders towards our target, and then instead of having to flip our hips, we can just step through with our inside foot and point that toe to where we want to go. And then the outside foot, the second step, is going to follow naturally.
Okay, so is that right there, Carlo looking down at his toe? Is that what you're talking about? Where he looked down a little bit there and he's trying to
Probably. Yep.
line up a little bit. Okay, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, and
that toe point is going to come right as it keeps going right there.
okay,
He's pointing his toe as he's stepping through. Again, getting his body in the direction of the quarterback for this
okay,
drill. Yep.
gotcha. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put that drill at as an importance to athletes at this point?
I think it's a really important drill for anyone trying to start learning how to pass rush. At the end of the day, pass rush is movement, and you have to be able to know how to move synchronously with your body. And that's the
Mhm.
hard part of it, because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you have to do these things going full speed while also reacting off of an offensive lineman. So I
Right.
would say that drill is very good for just getting your upper body moving fast. Again, trying to control your body while moving fast, which is the most difficult part about pass rush.
Yeah, you see definitely sometimes where people just don't have it synced up and it looks off. And so I
Right.
think, that's a huge part that people a lot of times aren't thinking about, especially young players. A lot of times young players are either super smart with the game or they are just,
Yeah.
physically just amazing. Like they're bigger than everybody else. So you see
Right.
a little to see that mix. And I think that's what you guys are doing such a great job at is you're bringing them together, and that's such an awesome thing to see because I think Caledonia's always had one or the other. We've either had like my grade, we had some big kids, some big
Yeah.
D line boys. The Simmons. I don't know if you know the Simmons or not, but they've always had big kids. The Fedawas,
Yep.
them. I mean, it's matching those together that makes that huge difference. So it's
Right.
it's just awesome to see. And I'm a student of the game, so I love seeing it because it's teach tape, man. It gets me excited.
Great.
So
That's awesome. And that's why I put it out there.
it truly is. It inspires, man. And I'll be sure to make sure the young kids that I coach are going to watch some of that tape. So
That's great. Thank
yeah, and I'll recommend them obviously.
you. Mm-hmm.
So moving forward, obviously talking about younger players,
Mm-hmm.
do you have any advice, from training to playing? Do you have any advice on how to perfect their craft? What's a mentality you got to have?
You know, as important as all that stuff is, it's like you have to honestly, it starts with watching and understanding football and trying to get something out of Saturday and Sunday. When that football is on, you have to be a sponge. You have to understand or try your best to understand and want to understand football. At the end of the day, the best players are the smartest players. When it comes to players like defensive backs and quarterbacks and offensive linemen, they have to know what's going on. A linebacker, cannot not understand football. So it
Right.
starts there, and then yeah, you have to get your body ready. Football's hard, and
Mm-hmm.
and it takes durability, and that comes with off-season training. A lot of people think we just want them to lift because we want to have the strongest, fastest team, and that is obviously a huge part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But these strong athletes, in my opinion, are less likely to get hurt.
Right.
So training is important for safety as much as anything.
Mhm.
Um, and to say to train for football would be sort of a fallacy because I think you're more or less just training to be an athlete.
Yeah,
I think just being active in the off season and trying to find some sort of avenue to get better outside of just playing a sport, even though that's awesome, is important for athletes and it'll make them better in any sport they do. Um,
absolutely.
and I think that's the great thing about Caledonia with max effort. Both the max efforts having opportunities for speed and agility training, and then opportunities for strength training. So,
Right.
and then from there, like maybe I'm going too far on this, but I do think athletes need to think, and I'm saying athletes of all ages need to think about what they're eating, and that
Mhm.
and that's not to
Mhm.
say you can't have fast food. I had fast food yesterday.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But
Yep.
also, I went to the grocery store today and got ground beef, bacon, eggs for less than $20. And that's that right there is like a power meal for an athlete.
Right.
So
Yep.
like you have to think about your diet, especially post training. If you want to get the most out of your training, if you're willing to do those things. So, understanding football, being willing to train, but also being willing to do the little things like checking your diet.
Yep. Yep. And a lot of times we don't think about that, and
Right.
especially back in my day. I mean, I remember obviously being 17, 16, 17, 18,
That's
and man,
always gonna
oh,
happen.
oh
And
man,
I
a Wendy's burger. Oh,
dude,
all the
and I
time.
and I and I'll tell them, obviously, especially the linemen, go to Wendy's, go to Taco Bell, do those
Yep.
things. And like, it's not to say you can't. Like, we're
Yep.
gonna we're gonna buy the football team pizza next year, a couple times
Oh,
probably. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
but
Yep.
at the end of the day, like I said, post training especially,
Mhm.
you have to get nutrient dense food in you. You
Right.
have to get fats in you. You have to get protein and carbs. And if you
Gotta
want
have
to
it.
have a great workout, you should get some fat and some sugar in you. Or I don't really know. I'm not a trainer in that aspect, but
Right.
you should get some good fuel in you.
Mhm.
So pre and post workout meals are important. And then a couple hours afterwards, go to Wendy's.
Go to Wendy's. Right. Treat
Yeah,
yourself a little bit. You can treat
right,
yourself a little bit, right?
right.
Like,
Because
I mean, yeah.
because every kid in high school football, 95% of them need to gain weight.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
So if you're legitimately training your hardest consistently in your 16, 17 years old, I think you can do those things. You can
Yeah.
splurge a little,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
also understanding pre and post workout fuel is very important.
Very important. That, like I said, that's such a great point. I'm glad you brought that up because it's a huge part of being an athlete that you don't think about, but it makes a big difference. And you can see the difference on the field with our athletes currently. I mean, it's just crazy to see what the diet training that Caledonia has done, the weight
Mm-hmm.
training, the speed and agility training, like everything you're saying is completely true, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody should listen to him. I mean
Thank
that
you.
sincerely. All right, listen to him.
Right.
He's teaching. He's telling the truth, guys. I promise. So, uh, you know, overall, your goals for your career, right? From training to coaching. What would you say is the end of the day for Coach Max? What do you want to have accomplished?
Um, you know, it's not an easy world, the coaching world, but I'd say the end goal. I would like to eventually be a head coach. Obviously, at Caledonia would be great. I'm very young into my career right now, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't plan on leaving for another head coaching job. But being a head coach would probably be the end goal. I thought about college coaching in my past, but I think I'm kind of over that. I like the aspect of being a part of the high school
Mm-hmm.
more, obviously for football reasons, but also just being a part of the high school and being a leader within a community is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. So just and on top of that, you don't get into coaching, and for me at least, to lose. So hopefully, a successful career on the football field. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, you get it for the relationships, and if I can just continue to build relationships And if I can know people like I know guys like Carlo and Mason McKenzie and just have those
Mhm.
types of relationships, then it will be worth it at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Like I said,
Mhm.
the coaching world is hard and there's no guarantees.
Absolutely. Yeah, you are absolutely right on that. I mean, the coaching world is a crazy one. Like I said,
Mhm.
I'm young into my career as a coach, at the youth level right now, but I
Yeah.
can tell, I mean, it's crazy sometimes, man. I can only imagine what you guys go through up there at the next levels up. It's just
Well,
that next level of seriousness.
well, and that's a good thing, but I will say youth coaching is extremely important. It is the foundation, it is the base. So appreciate you for doing that because you don't have to and you're choosing to. So that's
Absolutely.
awesome, man. And like I said, I still well, I don't know if I haven't said it yet. I still remember my youth coaches, and I was lucky
Yep.
enough to have a consistent one. I had the same one, but it was a great experience in youth football, and that probably goes back to one of your first questions: is
Mhm.
having good experiences in football.
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
it makes a difference. I mean, I've asked every athlete that comes on here, I ask them, where did it really start for you? And a lot of them, well, they bring up youth football. It's that first taste of success for
right?
young athletes or even just young people in general. It's that feeling of, wow, I worked hard at this and it's paying off. And
Yeah,
I
it's a
think
great.
that's the building block that leads to future success for schools. And so,
Yeah,
thank you for obviously saying that.
no, no
I
doubt.
I love coaching youth football, man. It's
That's
it's
great.
great giving back to the community. So
Yeah.
it does make me feel good. But so going off of that, it sounds like you've got such a great coaching career ahead of you, and obviously a amazing teaching career ahead of you. So I thought now to change it up a little bit, let's throw some fun questions in there, some
Okay.
random stuff.
All right.
Um, so teaching life, what
Yeah.
does that look like for you? What do you see on a daily basis? I remember what I was like in high school, so I'm sure there's things
Yeah.
you see on a
Yeah.
daily
Kids,
basis.
kids are funny, dude. It's a fun job, and you got to take it serious, and you have to teach kids. You know what I mean? And you have to, if you really you want to feel good about it, because obviously you're working for a community. So a
Right.
part of it is, having to teach kids, and I love history, and I'm lucky to get to teach history as a social studies teacher because I could be teaching government and economics, which I would not want to do.
Yep.
So so but on top of just teaching kids, and I teach AP, and that's a rigorous class, and but kids are hilarious, dude. Like they have great senses of humor, and
Yes.
they don't have to be vulgar, they don't have to be like, they're just, a lot of these kids are funny, man. And I love, at the end of the day, trying to give them some time in class where I can sit back and just listen to them
Yep.
talk and goof around. It's a great thing. So as much as it is work, I got to grade essays and
Yep.
teach and put together plans, and that's fine because it's what I signed up for. But
Yep.
it's funny seeing the kids interact. They're funny, and
Man.
I'm lucky to be at a place like Caledonia where there's a lot of good families and people who want to see Caledonia High School be successful.
And
So
that's a huge part. Yeah.
right. So yeah, and like it gets hard. You have to deal with teenagers, dude, and they're struggling, man. They're trying to figure out the world. I remember in high school all the time feeling like the sky was falling. So you have to have some grace and check yourself sometimes and remember that you're dealing with young people who are living in an even more confusing world than 10 years ago when I was in high school.
Yes.
So you're trying to be there for them. You're obviously their teacher, and not every kid's gonna let you in, and you have to understand that at the end of the day. But if a kid does, you have to take that seriously and you have to respect it and be there for them. So again, I'm happy to be able to have these relationships with students that are wholesome and that will hopefully help them be successful.
And that's such an awesome thing to say. Like I said, teachers are such a big part of life. And I have an ultimate respect for teachers. My sister's actually one
That's all.
in Hastings. So I've got a
Yeah,
big respect for teachers. She tells me all the time about, she loves her job, and that it's, giving back to the youth. And the only thing I can say is that I am 24 years old, and I officially don't understand the lingo that is used by the kids nowadays.
Tough.
I'm lost.
Yeah,
I'm lost. I have
there's
no
no
idea what's
sense
going
trying to
on.
understand. You know what I mean?
No.
We're officially, and I'm 29, going on 30 soon, but I don't feel old. I feel kind of hip still.
Yep.
But then, yeah, and I teach freshmen all day, so
yeah.
there's no sense to understand. You got to just roll with it.
You just got to roll with it. Yeah. I even Ian Fedawa's grade. I hear him talk to his friends, and I'm like, I don't even know what you just said. Like, I don't even, is that English? And
right? Yeah.
it makes me just think about, wow, I feel
old,
but okay.
Ian was also quite the character.
He is a character. He is a great character, and he's an entertainment. He's an entertainment for sure.
Yes.
But anyway, moving on from that, so favorite memory of football so far. It can be from anywhere, anytime, funny story, whatever you want.
I think for me, there are two. One of them starting in Caledonia. Obviously, my first year as a coach, we made it to the state championship game. But beating Rockford in that overtime for the district championship was, amazing. It's just the magnitude of that game, the fact that we had lost to them twice before in the regular season, being the smallest school in Division I, going up against one of the biggest schools in the state. All respect to them, but just beating them at their home, on their home field in overtime to win a district championship was amazing.
I still get chills thinking about that game. Like I was in the stands, and I will never ever forget the feeling. I'm not gonna lie, I teared up. Like, I'm just gonna be honest. Like, that was a big thing for us.
For that, and my whole football career, that's the most successful football season I've ever been a part of. So I'll never forget that season. And obviously, relationships made. Still coaching, working with Carlo, going on 2 years now. So yeah, that was an amazing experience, especially as a young coach who, again,
just crazy,
kind of just stumbled into the job at Caledonia, but it all, worked out great. So, and then, at Davidson, when I was there, we weren't as successful as we wish to be and as they are today. But we had beaten a now Division VIII team. But when I was in high school, Powers Catholic was a very good, like, Division V football team. Like, I'm talking, they had a kid go to Tennessee, kid go to Ball State, kid go to Southern Illinois. Just a loaded football team.
Okay.
Wow. So it was a Division V team against a D1 team, but it was not a regular Division V team. You know what I mean?
Right.
A uniquely talented football team.
Just crazy. Just out of nowhere crazy. Just
super talented. We beat them in overtime and homecoming. It was literally a sleet, snow, mud. That's back when Davison had grass, so it was a mud, just a mud bowl. And I remember they were punting out of the back of an end zone, back of their end zone, and they punted it like 7 yards. And the score was 3-0 at that point. And we had 7 yards to score, and we scored in the fourth quarter. Beat them 6-3 on homecoming in a mud bowl. I think I lost my mouth guard. I couldn't wear my boots the rest of the year, but I remember falling in mud about up to my middle of my bicep and just being stuck in the mud, my feet getting stuck in the mud.
Oh my gosh.
It was a crazy, crazy atmosphere, environment. And obviously it being homecoming, playing against a really talented team, I just remember that being probably the most gratifying win.
The gratifying one. I was going to say, a lot of people from down south don't understand, but that's like pure Michigan football right there. Is sleet, mud, that's just what we're born in, man. Is we're born in the mud here. That's what I always say.
If you're a Michigan high school with grass, you never know what you're gonna get. Like, you better
Nope.
hope it is training,
Yeah.
like, because it's gonna be bad. But
Oh yeah.
yeah. So those two moments, but there's so many, great moments from college and just high school weight room stuff. But I think
Right.
those two moments were just so gratifying as a coach and as a player. Uh, some things I'll never forget. My
That's
favorites for sure.
that's awesome. Like I said, I'm sure that there's a million other stories out there, that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
everybody's got one, even
Right.
I've got some that I'm not at the purpose to share right now because
Sure. No doubt.
yep, but everybody's got them and they're funnier than funny can be, but
Right.
obviously that's awesome. So thank you for everything. And one
No doubt.
last thing I wanted to ask is, obviously everybody's kind of on the Lions train right now. So
Gosh, yeah.
do you have anything NFL wise, college wise, or high school wise that you want to talk about?
I think everyone's just excited right now. I love the fact that the Detroit Lions are doing well because Michigan is such a split state.
Yes.
Um, between Michigan and Michigan State, like we talked about earlier.
Yep.
So I've
Yep.
always said it's a great just to have that commonality there. So
Right.
nothing to really talk about. I'm so happy about the
Mhm.
Detroit Lions. I think everyone's a little speechless still.
Yeah.
Um, it's hard, like, unless you're a Detroit fan or maybe a Browns fan, you wouldn't really understand.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's surreal, and obviously, as a Michigan fan, seeing that last year, despite the cheating allegations, I think if we did
Hmm.
cheat, it was before that season, and
Hmm.
we're safe now.
Yep.
But yeah, just so happy and amazed, and thankful that I never left. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
To say that I never left. Thought about maybe being a Philly fan. That seemed like a good idea for a
Yep.
second. I like Kelly Green. So,
Yep.
but I'm glad I stayed. Um,
Stayed
yeah,
on the
just so
train.
happy and
Stayed
so
on the
pumped for
train.
Saturday.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm a known Bears fan. So
What?
yeah, I know. Yeah,
Well,
it's
I feel
it's a
like over
sad
here
time,
in
but
West Michigan and maybe in Southwest Michigan, we're not far from Chicago.
yeah, yep. I'm actually 50-50. A lot of people don't know this, but I'm 50% Detroit and 50% Chicago. So I
Okay.
root for the Red Wings and I root for the Tigers, but I root for the Bulls and I root for the Bears. So
Ah,
I was told at a young age by my father, who's a loving Lions fan. He said,
yeah,
don't root for the Lions. It'll just bring you misery. And of course, now the Lions are good and the Bears are
not
the
good.
Bears.
Yeah.
So I kind of have some harsh words to have with him later, but we'll
Yeah, he
get to
kind of led you
that.
astray on that one.
He sure did. Yeah. I'm like, great, cool. Now we're the Lions. So that's cool.
Right.
That's great.
Right.
But yeah, so obviously Coach Max, thank you so much for coming on, man. It was an absolute blast to talk to you. And I'm gonna put your links in the video and down
Great.
below. If there's anything else, I want to talk to you again for sure.
Sure.
There's always stuff we can talk about, I'm sure.
Right.
And then last thing I like to do is I like to let you have a shout out, shout out anybody you want right now, that you just want to let know that you're thinking of them.
Yeah. I'd say want to shout out Carlo Ibar. That dude's a nonstop workhorse. And he's so grateful. And he works so hard. So I'll always love that dude, and can't wait to continue to work with him. Shout out Jet King, committed to a D1 school this past week, Southeastern Missouri.
Yes.
They got a
Yep.
stud. That kid again, a workhorse.
Mhm.
Um, just just so happy for him.
Yes.
Kept the faith, worked hard,
Mhm.
did whatever he was asked and whatever he thought was the right thing to do to get better. So
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah,
Jet, congratulations, Jet. I wanted to put that in the video too because that is awesome for you, my man. Coming from Caledonia, anytime anybody makes it to any level of football from our school, I'm rooting for you. So, Jet, congratulations to you. And again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, I want to thank everybody that watches and supports us. And like I said, follow Coach Max. He's dynamite, dude. He's got it. He's got the it factor I always talk about. So, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Fourth Quarter Finish podcast. Please like and subscribe. To support the athletes that are featured, check out their personal links down below. Fourth Quarter Finish, hard-hitting takes.